right, so we're actively reviewing this. Yes, 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 nodding. Yes, I can see a bit of nodding. Yes, 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 I'm agreeing with you, Naeem. Yes, that's exactly it. Exactly right. No, don't do that. Oh, and his camera's frozen. All right, welcome to the Three Body Narrative podcast. We are your hosts, Pradyum, Aaron, and Naeem. And if you're wondering what that was all about, well, we are here today to review The Paper, the TV show The Paper. Now, what is that TV show all about? Well, the documentary crew that immortalized the Dunder Mifflin Scranton branch in the award winning TV show The Office finds a new subject when they discover a historic Midwestern newspaper and the publisher trying to revive it. Now, before we get to discussing, now this was what, a 9-episode season? 10? 9, 10?
Yeah.
10. Yeah. So we're going to be reviewing the entire first season of The Paper. Before we get to our ratings, guys, have you guys watched The Office before this?
I did for the most part, but I think after Michael Scott's character left, I kind of watched only probably another season or like a bit of the season that followed, and then I stopped. Because I think for me, Michael Scott was like the essence of the Office series, and it kind of lost its aura once he left.
Okay. So you never really got to see the final conclusion of The Office. Okay. Aaron?
Actually, no, I did because
Okay.
I passed everything and I came to the final episode where, certain things are happening and you have some, he kind of has returned at some point or no?
Yes. I think that was the last episode. Yeah, I think that would have been the last episode, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Aaron, have you watched it?
Just bits and pieces of it, never in the way it was intended to.
Okay. And I've watched every episode. So it's great that we've got three sort of differing opinions or not opinions, but different perspectives that we're probably going to get for The Paper. Aaron, we're going to start with our ratings for this TV show. So Aaron, why don't you let us know what you thought of season 1?
For me, it was probably one of the most difficult watches I think I've had, like in this podcast that we have done so far. Was it the worst thing we watched? No. But yeah, it was
Shout out Gunda.
Among a few others. But yeah, I think it was something that I had to really push myself to watch, even on days that I had nothing to do. That was like the least favorite thing for me to even think of doing. First episode to get into that, it took me like 2 days to finish that episode.
Okay.
So yeah, I think eventually it kind of probably grew on me just because you want to know what's happening and how things are going to pan out. But yeah, I don't think it was my favorite thing to watch. I think I would rate it 2. I think there were some characters in the series that were kind of fun to watch, but then there were quite a lot that were basically less. It felt like it was just trying to fill space, and so yeah, it wasn't the best. I think some of the subtle and dry comedy was fun, rather than always you have a lot of mainstream shows which are like over the top and stuff like that way. So that was nice. I think having Oscar's character back was pretty cool, in terms of like a nostalgic thing, and also his character was quite a nice one back then, and it kind of holds through even in this series. So that was quite nice. But yeah, overall an okay show. Maybe it gets better as we move on. Let's see.
All right. So I was a bit apprehensive when the paper was first announced because I was a huge fan of the American version of The Office, and I think they had a good run for the first 7 seasons. I think the last 2 seasons, I just like both or like just basically watched it just to see how it concluded. Not my two favorite seasons after the seventh one, and that's basically after Michael, which is Steve Carell, left as well. There were hit bits and pieces that I liked in that, and so but overall, I love The Office. And when the paper was announced, I was just a bit scared that this was just going to be a money grab approach. But when the cast was announced, I mean, there were a few people, or there were a few actors who I was quite interested to see how they would fit into um, this basically ensemble and this universe. It was nice to see Oscar back, like you mentioned, but overall, I felt it was a decent start to the TV show. I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think the initial few episodes were a bit tough for me to watch because I wasn't sure of the comedy approach that they were using. It felt a bit too cringy and a bit too on the nose, but I did like the underlying story that was playing out. Especially, I like the whole. I do like um journalism shows slash movies, and I kind of like that approach here. I like that they weren't just replicating what The Office tried to do. But yeah, I think there were maybe as the season progressed, I think I had more episodes or more things that I started to like. But there were still a few things which few scenes, few characters which I didn't really care about, and two I felt were a bit on the cringier side. So that being said, I think it's an average start, mm, better than what I expected going in, but still nothing to write home about. So overall, a 3 out of 5.
I don't think anyone would be surprised by my rating of the show because I tend to be more generous with my rating, perhaps. But I give this a 4 out of 5. Yeah, probably the first episode was a little slower on in terms of getting things going, but I really enjoyed the show. I don't think there was at any point. Okay, what probably also helped was I did not know there was a spin-off to expect for the Office. Like I
Okay.
hadn't heard about it whatsoever, or even if I did at some point, I had completely forgotten about it. So I didn't have any expectations going into this, right? And I think that really helped. I love the performances by Gleason, especially. Like I think Gleason's become one of my favorite actors. Like even though it's very few roles I've seen him in, but I really like the kind of performances he puts in and how he kind of latches onto that character. And I see the character rather than seeing Gleason itself. My favorite character of the show is the over the top Esmeralda. Like I cannot
Yeah,
help
I
but
figured.
like everything she's doing even in the background, right? Like it's so kind of like the way she puts it across, it's like for me she was grabbing my attention even though she wasn't on the screen. Like there were literally I think it's the first sequence you see in The Office where Mayor is like speaking to the what's the mockumentary team or
Yeah,
whatever
the crew. Yeah.
recording, right? And like immediately I could see Esmeralda in the background, and she's not even been introduced at that point. She's like doing some weird pacing around in her cabin or something like that, and I was like, "What's happening there?" kind of a thing, right? And then she eventually comes on to the camera, and this whole TTT online and things like that. Like I really enjoyed that character. I liked seeing the whole decline of the print media, how they're kind of trying to tackle that whole approach. So there are obviously different battles being fought. One is this obviously glaring issue that's there. But on top of that, obviously the internal politics in itself of like promoting one product as opposed to another, whereas like they're all fall into one like one parent company, right? But obviously everyone has their own personal agenda, and how that kind of affects the overall balance of portfolio within the business, I suppose. So I really enjoyed it. I like the chemistry between Gleason's character and Mayor as well. Right,
Yeah.
it was a good um, I, like the bond was very like very trustworthy at points, but also there are like some cracks that happen, and like it kind of shows you like they're not entirely matured, even though they kind of try and put this front forward, especially with Gleason, right? Like when he walks in, initially he seems a very calm, composed character, very clear, and has a clear clarity in terms of what he wants to achieve. And then, like as a couple of episodes go, you're like, I mean, there's a lot of room for him to grow, which is good to see, kind of a thing, right? It's not like it's not a one track dimensional, like one dimensional character who's like very grounded, very this thing. It's like, yes, he is smart, but there are definite cracks in there that he kind of needs to work around of such. So yeah, all in all, like thoroughly enjoyed the show. I love the comic timing in this. It was just the first episode that I felt the pacing was slightly on the slower end, so like it was quite slow, I thought. But otherwise, like I really enjoyed the show, and I look forward to season 2, if
Okay.
there's one
Yeah,
in the
I
stock.
guess there is. I guess there might be. I'm pretty sure. As far as I read, I think they have extended it. All right. So very different views on the TV show, which is good. I think it's. I don't think we've ever had one where we've all given the sort of same rating. Very difficult. I don't recall.
I think off late there have been massive differences, especially this one. This is like Aaron's on one end of the spectrum, and then you're like in the bang in the middle, and then I'm on the other
Yeah,
spectrum.
I
So yeah,
think in most of the recent cases, it's. I think two of us have agreed and one has disagreed, and you obviously being the one that's been on the
always
other.
the pro, like okay, the movie wasn't all that bad,
Correct,
perhaps.
correct. Yeah. So okay, I think there's a lot to uncover or unpack across the 10 episode arc. But before we get to that, I want to ask you, out of the 10 episodes, which storyline or what part of that 10 episode arc was your was your favorite one, most favorite segment, which is the one where I guess for Aaron didn't make him cringe enough, or for Naeem you really enjoyed, or for me felt, yeah, okay, this is probably bringing back the spirit of what I thought good comedy would be. I guess. Is there one particular episode or one particular storyline that you really enjoyed?
And you want to take this?
I think it was, what was it, seventh, probably the eighth episode where there was that whole softies, the kid mitt or something like that. Way. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The whole thing where Ken is trying to get Ned to not put out the paper. That was a pretty cool interaction between them. Then Ned eventually kind of helping with driving sales by rebranding it into a wipe. I think Travis also being that whole kind of undercover guy and then helping out with that one folder which he kind of uh, distracts Ken and then keeps puts it in his jacket and then eventually gives it to Meh and stuff. So that was pretty cool. I think even the whole thing of them trying to sell the product also was quite nice. That kind of whole scene over there, that was quite cool. So yeah, it was nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so for me, it's the same. Like that episode where they're up against their own sister company, Softies, and they kind of have to figure out how they put that story out. And I think one of the best moments for me in that is when you see bits and pieces of how they kind of keep hinting at how good a salesman Gleason's character is, right? And you get to see that in the episode itself, where he's forced into, or I mean, like convinced to sell the existing stock before it kind of becomes a problem, right? And immediately, like how he spins it from what's it called? Toilet it's like for
Some
Kid
myths,
mitts.
kid myths or
Kid
something.
mitts.
kid
Yeah,
mitts. From
because
that
it was for kids to.
kitchen
Yeah.
mitts,
Yeah.
like swap it around, and like this thing to kind of say it goes into the trash and not, you don't flush it, kind of a thing. And like how that whole sales run happens from there, I really thoroughly enjoyed the episode. And I liked seeing how you have these like you have these at work, right? Two different departments with their own agendas.
Yeah.
They're at each other's throats trying to get one over the other and kind of get their way, until like someone with your authority kind of steps in, right? Especially like if the person who's actually in authority is away for some reason, how that kind of affects the whole scale of power within the company, I suppose. And like all of that coming into play in that one episode is really fun to watch. I think uh, is that the episode? No, that's not the one where Esmeralda and Ken are plotting as well, right? I think that's later.
I mean, they are plotting throughout.
No, plotting to overthrow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Overthrow
I think
Marv.
that's like one or two. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
that's
That was before, right?
really.
Yeah. Because in this episode, then Marv goes on holiday, and that's why he's not there.
Okay, I probably, yeah. Maybe it's like at a later point. It was that episode where he says "I love you" to Marv. Like Gleason's character says "I love you," and then
yeah,
they're like, "This
the
is like
the
Yeah.
dad one.
yeah."
Yeah.
So I think that episode was probably the one after this, maybe, because I feel like it was a
Mm.
little. No?
The I love you thing was before the whole softies thing.
Yeah,
Because after
yeah.
this, then Ken does the whole toilet papers as in ice cream cones, and then he has to go apologize.
There's also another episode, but it's more of a moment where like you just see how much of an impact Oscar's character has in the show, and that's that meeting where they're trying to kind of get one over Ned and kind of get him screwed over completely.
Where she
And
puts that
I
thing
love
on
that thing.
the computer thing, and then she doesn't, and he doesn't see the.
Yeah,
Right.
but
he
then
gave him
but
one
then
message.
Oscar kind of says there's this one thing in inventory which is a storeroom, but it's actually the house Ken is staying
Yeah,
in.
I really love that bit. It was so damn good, and also the way Ken reacts to that. Oh my god, that was like, okay, damn good. Like how they kind of just hush that away and just agree to kind of not dive deep, but because both parties get what they want. Ken obviously doesn't want to be ousted, and um, um, Oscar just
This
wants Ned.
finds a way to get money so that the
Exactly.
Yeah.
project is in
Yeah.
hand.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those were fun episodes. Yeah. So yeah. Fair. I think those are good episodes to choose from. What else do? So I guess
What
the
was
one.
your episode though?
Mine was. I think there's that one where Esmeralda is scammed
oh yeah,
with a
yeah,
cameo.
Catfish
A catfish,
by
yeah. Oh, by Josh
Josh.
Oliver.
Josh.
That was. I
not
think that was like
Jordan. What was the name? Josh
Jar
and some
Jarson,
Jarson.
Jarson. Yeah.
because it's Jared, which he gets it
Jared and
Jar
Jason.
from, and then Jason's son, like
Yeah.
and then Jarson.
Jarson. Then the cameo is like, look at my Jarson. It's so
Mm.
it's like, and then obviously they get the
her
real.
dance in the end at that bar was insane.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Also, the people they got together who were all scammed by Jarsin, and she's judging them like, oh, as if they thought that my Jarsin could love them. I was like, oh my god.
So, because she sees like the not so pretty women
All
in the
these,
start, and then
all the elderly women, and then there was one that was like similar to her, and then she was like, "Oh shit!"
Then
yeah.
she felt threatened. Yeah, it's funny.
But and then they got the real Josh Holloway to kind of do a cameo saying, "Hey, I'm not Jarson, I'm Josh Holloway." Like it was pretty fun that way. I think also there was that one episode where Mare and Ned go to a mattress store to to
Hmm.
basically
To get
see,
a mattress for his mother.
yeah, and they were meant to be this married couple, and it turns out to be a big thing. So I think yeah, those were my two favorite segments. I really liked the catfish episode because obviously there's a lot of these kind of TV shows and catfish stories that keep popping up on Netflix. So it's quite a massive pandemic or epidemic of um, scams that are being done. But it was really fun to see, and it's possible, right? Like you never know. Like you keep hearing like these fake. I mean, not cameos. I mean, cameos a bit much, but like even then, you get these calls from, or you've seen these DMs from famous popular people saying, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'm in need of cash. Can you lend me some?" So, yeah,
More
just
often than not, it's your CEO saying, I need this urgently. Please get this transferred.
yeah, yeah. So I think overall those were my favorite ones. Now the one thing I really liked about The Office was the relationships, because this is an ensemble cast, right? Because this is a cast of various actors, various roles. I like the in The Office. I love the relationship that was there between different characters. So whether it be Jim and Pam, or Dwight and Jim, Andy and Erin, Creed and everyone else, or whatever, right? So I really loved that the relationships being built. Here I felt like there weren't as many. I think the biggest one was Ned and Mare, Ken and Esmeralda, and the other, well, couple who didn't want to be I mean, she didn't want to be a couple, right? What's her name? Why am I? Sorry.
I just remember the surname
Nicole, right?
Lee.
Nicole Lee.
Yeah, Nicole
Wait.
Lee. Yeah,
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 Nicole.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nicole. Yeah, correct. So I think those were the major relationships that were being built in this TV show. What did you guys make of it? Did it work for you? Did their chemistry work, or did you feel like it was a bit forced and meh?
I think Mare and Ned seemed quite organic. I don't think there was anything forced. I think both of them did quite a decent job. I think Esmeralda with Ken was quite cool, and I think also during that catfish episode with Ned, also that was like quite a nice kind of change to what their dynamic was throughout the rest of the season. So that was quite nice. I think Nicole's character also was quite nice. And what was the guy's name? Dietrich? What? Something like that.
Dietrich.
Dietrich, yeah.
Yeah, I think that also was a nice thing. The whole insecure kind of thing he had about not knowing where it was, and then sometimes trying to play it cool and stuff like that way. That was pretty nice. I think he did a good job of that. And then Nicole being like more or less the emotionless kind of thing, but then obviously you can see behind the scenes probably not quite as much. But yeah, I think they played off each other quite well, and so they did a decent job there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I, I,
Yeah.
I love that whole sequence where she feels cheated on because he's not been going out or going out on another date or like dating other people at the same time as she's dating him, and that whole dialogue sequence that plays out in the way it feels like that's a dialogue that would be taking place when someone's been cheated on, right? Like that's the usual way
Yeah.
it kind of how that shapes up was really fun to watch, and obviously also the full circle moment, like towards the end where you see her in that room finally, like really
Sobbing, bawling her
sobbing.
eyes out. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and of course then with that weather girl who, oh my god, the laughter was just something else. Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to keep a straight face when talking to someone like that. But no, I liked it. I was not sure though, and I don't know about you guys about. There's always a will they, won't they kind of chemistry and dynamic that always plays out with the major two characters. Here, it seemed to have some sort of conclusion in a way. Do you think that was the right way to play it, or you think it was they should have just been a platonic relationship, or it depends, right? Some people say, oh my god, it's just too soon, it's just already season one, like I don't think this was the right choice. While some people say, okay, might as well have done it now rather than make us wait like 3 seasons, 4 seasons, because that's what we did with uh
Office.
The Office, right? I think
Exactly.
Jim and Pam took at least 2 seasons or so before that played out. So two,
Yeah,
three
so
seasons.
I think just from a perspective of already having gone the way with Jim and Pam, and that having gone over 2 or 3 seasons, it was a good twist. I wasn't honestly expecting it to happen this season, that they would even try. Even though like there are sparks flying in
Yeah,
multiple,
right
right?
from the get go. I think like May, I like the fact that she really wants the paper to succeed. So you really have one thing going, and both of them are similar in that fact that they want this thing to be successful. That's what the others probably don't care. Esmeralda wants it to be successful for a different reason. Ken doesn't care, and the others really aren't bothered. But um, for this, yeah, I think right from the get go, it seemed like yeah they've got the right chemistry.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah, and I think in that episode, the catfish episode, I think when she reads his profile on the app, then she's like, I think about him cutting his grandmother's toenails or something, and she's like, I would swipe right or something like that. I think she says. So you kind of know that. I mean, you always knew that there was something, but then it kind of cemented it or set, kind of put it in stone that there was the interest there. So yeah.
the one
But
thing that
yeah,
I
I think even getting it out of the way so early in the season, I guess the thing is that there's so awkward and stuff like that way. It's still going to leave room for a lot of awkwardness and uh, that kind of stuff in the relationship. So I think they didn't kind of worry too much about it.
yeah. So to echo that, I think it's basically kind of set that um, premise up for next season, where it's gonna be that dynamic of obviously loving each other or being in love with each other, but also the boss and like reportee or that how that plays out. Like how do you balance that? And you've already seen that they're not best when it comes to communicating with each other, especially Ned's character, right?
Yeah,
That's probably going to be one of those things that he has to deal with next season, perhaps. And I don't think obviously it's gonna be like a. I think next season, like it goes in a way where it does not end well. Perhaps like they kind of decide to focus on the career as opposed to this. Put a pin on that, and maybe at a later point, if it is indeed about them rather than the paper, then you kind of have that full circle towards the end of the series if you ever get there. More than
yeah. You spoke about Ned not being able to communicate. The one thing I disagreed with you in your initial rating was the fact that you said that Ned was smart. The guy starts off by bundling Mare's while she's just talking. He knocks her down along with the food, right? And then ends up, I think communicate. He's been a nervous wreck, like right from the get go. He's like, how do I make sure that these people like me? Make sure that it's not a nepotism kind of thing, because that's how he eventually like gets the job in. And then of course, I love how Esmeralda in every episode tries to do something to discredit him, whether it be the first episode's Me Too
Me too.
movement.
Oh my god, that was
Like,
insane.
what an introduction to the office, right? And I think my favorite one was when obviously she then tells Ned that Mare is, I think, bisexual or asexual, not bisexual, asexual, right? And that obviously ends up
Not
being,
asexual, it's asexuale.
yeah, correct. Or not giving him the timing for the meeting, or when he wants to have lunch, she tells him that she's invited Ken, and then when he tells her that he wants to get it done earlier, she's like, "Men who eat early also come early." I was like, what the fuck? Like, I love her. I think her source for any news comes from that TTT, her online gossip column or blog, and so it's hilarious. I love that there is someone, and I think in a way it could be slightly realistic, because come on, like, you are in a high position, you're a woman also in a higher position, then you are basically demoted because of a nepotism, as well as, well, somebody actually a lot more qualified comes in. So obviously, I mean, you're in a, no, but
But
I'm saying,
I don't agree with that, no? Like you look at it, okay, yeah, I mean, yes, she's got her set of experience, but it's nowhere to real credible journalistic experience, because
no,
Mayor in
but
that
she's not.
regard
But
is
she's not going to see it that way. No, what I'm trying to say is that I understand why she's acting like that, because for her it's someone who's just
she's
come
also
up.
again supposed to be a temporary position, right? Like again,
Yeah,
it's from a perspective of once you've tasted power, you don't want to let that go.
exactly.
It's
Yeah,
not to do with anything else, but the fact that once you have that power, you don't want to let it go at cost, like any cost from that
in her
perspective.
mind, she believes that she's earned it, and she's whatever done well. Which is, well, we watching it know that it's not successful, but in her mind, she's doing the right thing. She's, you know, making she's got the whole office organized. She's doing a whole bunch of stuff in the right way. But yes, there's someone, I suppose, younger, and I mean, whatever, coming into the picture and taking away her power, her role, and so that's what.
Something to her cause is like it is no doubt that what she's doing, while it's not actual journalism, is something that's actually helping them stay alive with
Yeah,
all the clickbaits and the what's that marketing thing that
honestly,
they.
it's not too far away from what current journalism really is today, right? Like, honestly, it is. There's so many. How many times have you? I mean, the most viewed pages or the most viewed articles are those clickbait, are those like gossip rags, or are those like, which celebrity do you look like, or uh, based on your horoscope, what would your, you know, this thing. So many of them. No, I'm not saying that you would click it, so don't have to look at it. But I'm just saying those are the more
But yeah,
prominent
I mean,
ones that are
you
out
see
there.
a lot of them on social media websites and also in like any of the
There's
news.
an entire company, BuzzFeed, that's built its business based on that, right? Yes. So see, 23 things that you definitely have missed on Game of Thrones. Like, everything we've already seen, but they
But
have to
I
name
think
it like.
in that case, right, like BuzzFeed's focus is more celebrity life and all of that stuff, like more how do I say this? It's
Sure,
not you wouldn't see a BuzzFeed reporting on what's happening from a war perspective or like from a business mainstream perspective. Like you more often than not, whenever I've come across BuzzFeed, it's always been about celebrity related
Yeah,
news.
I'm not saying that that's what news has become, but that is a popular section of the news, which is people want to know about all of this. And so, and that's why I agree with you in that I think she keeps the business afloat, because while he's trying to, and she cuts off the
Why?
subscription to the Wire, yeah, which is insane. But while he's trying to get real life journalism and real life news, which that's why I really like the show, because I really like that bit of it. Uh, what she's doing is actually what people kind of do look at nowadays. So, um, yeah, I think that bit. So because she's believes she's important, I can understand why she does what she does, and some of it ends up in being quite hilarious. Some of it I'm like, why? The other one I want to mention is we spoke about the culmination of of what we the will they won't they. The one thing that really shocked me was the fact that they actually win the award right in season one.
Yeah, that was quite the thing. But also, what I read into that whole award thing is the general standard of journalism has been so bad that this has been a refreshing tone in terms of an approach, right? Like perhaps the standards have been so low that it just becomes easier for them to kind of get past that and achieve what is a good reward, and that's what my read into that situation was, because otherwise I just thought like it had been only like what, 6 months maybe since he had got
Yeah.
this, and for them to win that award so quickly.
I think I get why Mayor would have won the award. I think that's a very important article to put out there. The fact that you're taking on your own company and you're basically outing them for the lack of um I think, what is it, accountability or lack of sure monitoring. Um, so that's something that I agree with. But yeah, it just seeing them win all of the awards, I was like, oh, okay, interesting. It's very unlike any other show that you've seen that in the first season itself that they win the major award. So it keeps me guessing as to what next, right? Because if everything you've got the relationship that's already been well culminated in, you've got them winning the award and all of it already been done. So I'm just wondering what next. But my God, that awards ceremony was one of the toughest watches, because the way Esmeralda was just
Oh, that song she wrote on the spot for the people who had passed away. My God, that was such a thing of beauty, man. Like I was like so astounded by her creativity and skills in that moment. Uh, it was too damn cool, that song that she comes up with, and I just love the way that whole kind of translate, like the multiple times she goes up on stage, and then you think it's like twice that she's gone up, but then she says 3 times, and
and balloons come like that. Yeah.
it turns out she also crashed the wedding that was taking place next door and took center stage there too.
Yeah.
This next level.
Always the center of attention that she wanted to be. But yeah, I also like I suppose the envy of Ken, because here you're seeing Ned, kind of coddle up to, and it's not that Ned's just being Ned. He also has a role to play in this by kissing up to Marv there. It's not like Ned's just being Ned and Marv is doting on him. It's Ned also has that level of. So I felt like while if Ken was similar to what Dwight was in Office, I was thinking that maybe Ned would be similar to Jim, but Ned's not like Jim. Jim didn't care. Jim never sucked up to people. Here, Ned does. Ned's like, I will do anything to get praise, and maybe that's something
But I
to talk
don't
about
think
his.
Ned is supposed to be Jim here. He's
No, no, no.
supposed to
I'm
be.
not saying no. It's not about them portraying. It's what my personal thought was. Like I thought, like Ken gave me Dwight vibes, because Dwight would always be like trying to butter up to Michael or try to be in Michael's good books and do all of that, right? Be the assistant to the regional manager. And here you always saw Ken by Marv's side, and he'd always give the snide comment. And then when Marv laughed, he'd look at Ken, and Ken would also laugh, ha ha ha. So
I think, but the thing that drives both of them are very different in the sense that Ken does the sucking up because he does not want to lose his job, right? And he doesn't really work for it. You see it in the way he approves multiple things, and he's just there because he knows how to get his way around, and he kind of does that most of it by like sucking up and getting other people to do his work. Whereas this guy, Ned's character, is more from a perspective of he does his work, right?
yeah,
He's not someone who doesn't know how to get his work done, or like he doesn't belong there. He does belong there. The reason why you see that whole um, uh, I won't call it sucking up, but more affectionate approach towards
I think he
Mark
needs approval, right?
because approval, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's just
comes
seeking
from
approval.
exactly
I think they say, right, is a got daddy issues or
that
something
issue,
like that.
exactly,
That,
and that's
that
where it comes from,
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was saying. There's something that we have to talk about his personal life, which we've not yet got to, but there's something definitely there. Uh, Obviously, there are some callbacks and references to The Office, where Oscar being Oscar. I love the fact that he did help out in providing the Sudoku for the first edition. And the first edition, man, what an edition! You see, like the papers that they frame about war and this thing, and then you've just got like no news is good news, and hey, I'm Ned. Um, and then of course, I think he uses what he does like a synopsis of a movie or a book or something.
Novel, yeah,
Novel, yeah, yeah,
pretty much uses the like a lot of the novel without even actually getting their approval to kind of post it.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, so, yeah, so but a lot of references. So you have that. You have Bob Vance at the start because that's where they begin with. And I was scared. I was thinking that they were going to go back to the same building. So for initially when I saw the building, I was like, oh, did someone take over Dunder Mifflin or something like that? But they didn't. I like the fact that Bob was there, and then of course you had the call with Oscar to Stanley for the Sudoku. That was also a good callback. So a couple of them, I wonder
so
if at
twice
any
they mentioned, right? Initially, also when Vance or Vance, how do you pronounce it?
Vance,
Uh,
yeah,
um, when he is in like shown in the first episode right at the beginning, he mentions Phyllis's name as well, and how she's only in touch with Stanley, and then again you see Stanley being in touch with Oscar as well.
who would have
Uh,
thought? Who would have thought Stanley would be the guy who would be in touch with people? But I'm glad, and we do see a Stanley-like character even in the paper. Which was I love the fact that he falls down and he breaks his leg or whatever over a gate. Like, dude. But apparently the guy's got some journalism pedigree because Net seems to say that he's done some good journalism in the past, and so I'm intrigued to see where that goes. We don't really see too much, except for the fact that Esmeralda is in love with him because she sees an older, a younger picture of of him. Um,
he took her. He had his way with her. Oh my
he
god.
had his way with her. Yeah, it was it. Yeah, I really like it. I think overall it was fun. Anything else that we kind of
Guys, if you are hearing the thoughts, you will see that a 4 is more likely than the 3 or the 2 that were said
I
by.
think a 3 is more likely. I think a 3. I think I have more chance of having Aaron pop 1 up in the rating than 2, and you.
There is no way I'm dropping 1 down for sure. There is a way I might go zero point 0.5 higher on this show, but there is no
Oh,
dropping whatsoever. Guys, if you are watching this episode, please take a moment right now, pause, go and drop us your review of, not your review, but your score for this episode, and let us know what you would rate it out of 5.
yeah.
Let's get the poll running, poll going.
Yeah, I think what else is there? So, uh, we've covered those aspects. Is there
What I also
anything?
like, there's this again, like there are bits and pieces. Second episode,
Okay.
or is it the first episode? The first issue. Is it the first or the second episode?
Oh, I think what you're talking maybe with the second episode, which you're
Okay,
talking.
so I'm talking about him chasing that sensational story, and he comes up against this serial killer.
The
And
morgue. Oh, I was so interested. I was like, shit, this is gonna go end up places where the morgues called him and said, oh, there's a serial killer on the loose, and he's so excited. I'm like, yes, come on. And oh, yeah.
the way that turns around, oh my god! Because I was like, oh my god, this is like taking a whole other turn. I don't know where
Okay,
this is.
but did you actually, because when he spoke to the morgue, what's it? Not morgue officer. What's it called? Mortician,
I don't
Yeah,
idea.
something like that. So a
would be a
morgue.
mortician.
Yeah, someone like that. So someone from the morgue, when he speaks to them, it didn't feel like he was in any way trying to hint upon the fact that he's left a body there. It just felt like he was just normally asking. It blew my mind that they actually thought that he was the one who's a serial killer, and he's left a clue. He's trying to trick us in. He's teasing us that that he's left a body in here, which no one knows. I'm like, what? How is that what you got?
I think it's that irritated sound that comes across, the tone that he uses, in the sense that
Like, look there.
I don't know, man. Check the back somewhere there. That makes like in the sense that maybe the serial killer is irritated. They've not found a body yet, and that's why they kind of go down that road. I
Yeah,
really love that thing.
that
It's
was fun. I think that's the same episode where, yeah, Barry breaks his leg because he sends everyone out to different places. By the way, dogging.
oh yeah.
My
Uh,
God, I I cringed initially. I was like, how have you not heard her? And what are you doing? And then later, I was like, damn, man, this
yeah,
is.
especially when they start barking at the kids. Oh my god, I was like, what is happening in this episode? Like, it was
And then you have the one where they go to the, was it the golf course or something, and the parking lot, and they're like, you you don't have enough parking, or you're parking in the wrong places, or some shit, something like that, right?
yeah,
Uh,
Yeah.
and it's
but
reserved parking for basically the staff in there because they're supposed to park just outside.
yeah, you're like, okay. So that's what the one thing I really liked was it's not going the office route, and I like the fact that there are news stories to cover, and I really like the journalism aspect of it. The other thing was where Ned goes to the park's toilet to take a dump, but then they use it for something else, or they do they
E-bike
basically,
kiosk.
yeah, key yeah, the e-bike
And
kiosk.
I like that as well, where they swap places in the sense that Ned wants to focus on stories um, that, where he thinks it adds value, when he thinks what Esmeralda does not add value, and she's like, let's swap the articles and let me kind of uh, like figure this thing out, and you do what I'm supposed to do. And I love that take of how Esmeralda kind of uh, breaks through the whole thing of going beyond what the job actually requires, right? In the sense that she sneaks into the office, grabs some confidential papers or snapshots, and then gets back out and actually cracks the case. Whereas Mayor is more just like, there's not much there kind of a thing. Whereas Esmeralda is pretty much convinced. I also like the one additional bit of Esmeralda which really adds so much to her character. Like it's been abundantly made clear that she's an attention grabber. She just has to be the center.
That dress in the award
Yeah,
ceremony,
and
bloody hell.
to kind of not drop the ball on that right till the end of it, just as Ned pops up on the stage to finally have his moment, and you're like, okay, he gets to accept that award, and boom, she goes down. Like, she's it's and that was like too damn good. The slight smile she's got on her face, and yeah,
Yeah,
like
Other storylines that I think we probably should mention. One is where they all do some random stuff and all of them fall ill. So whether it's the food poisoning, whether it's the skin
It's
rash.
the same episode, right? The
That
one
was
where
the same thing. No, they were testing the products that Esmeralda got.
Oh, correct. That's the one. Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That skin rash and the skin peeling. Oh my God, that looked horrible. That looked really bad.
my other favorite moment was the Juilliard bit where the guy
Professor
Juilliard,
K.
yeah, Professor,
Oh, yeah.
criticizes the shit out of people, and Mayor wants to take him down, but for
Yeah.
like other reasons, until she finally finds.
And I love
that
that Oscar's so excited for it because that's his jam, right? Like he loves watching plays and critiquing it and all of that. So there's also that part where I think Ned gets into a fight with a blogger.
The kid
Yeah.
in the
The
same
kid.
episode again.
Yeah, same episode. Yeah, where he gets into an online feud with the blogger and starts
Cyberbullying.
cyberbullying him and doing random stuff. So yeah, I think overall there were some nice tidbits. I still think that there is a cringe factor to it, which cannot be escaped. Yeah, but overall, I thought it was a decent start, and I think if you look back at The Office, even the first season was not well received. It was all right, right? I think a lot of the first season was actually adapted from what the British original Office was. So it didn't really translate that well, but then it became what it became, which is one of the most successful TV shows. So yeah, I think overall the first season for me was all right. For Aaron was a pain to watch, and her name was just absolutely brilliant. But we've had a fun time discussing various things, and I think we've said a lot of good things more than we've delved into any sort of proper negatives. But okay, if you had to choose one character that you truly liked and one character that you despised in this first season, who would you or despise or didn't care much about? Choose the one on either end of the spectrum.
Why don't you give yours until I kind of place my who that
Okay.
character?
I would say I liked Mare as my favorite character. I think she probably had was the most level-headed of them all, and I think her intentions and the way she went about things was I couldn't fault it, nor was I at any point in time going why. So I really liked her as a character, and my least favorite of them all. Uh, hmm, I'm trying to think. Who would it be? Was it? Mm, I don't know. Travis, maybe. Adam and his wife always having like being so not so sexual, not so asexual was hilarious. Yeah.
Minimum.
Minimum.
On
Minimum of that.
on a normal day.
And in that episode where they're all trying different things, he tries that whatever tiger, whatever thing it was, and the highly potent.
It was he was slipped it, but yeah,
Yeah,
the scorpion thing.
Scorpion, yes. So, tiger, scorpion, one of the things, and it basically makes him a raging, hormonal filled man, and that's the same thing. Even that happens during the award season, right, or the award ceremony. I don't know where I was going with it, uh, but I was going to say
Painted
I
a
might.
picture which people will be like, when they reach it, they'll be like, where was this?
Basically up the ante for him. But no, I think the same thing even during the awards ceremony where he brings his wife to the show and she's basically gorging on the food that's there and really enjoying the time there. And they give the kids to babysitting to Travis, I think, and yes, I'm not sure, but yeah. So okay, so those are my two. I mean, why am I going on about it? So those are my two. I've given you enough time now to think about who your two favorite. So
Aren't
one,
Uh, I don't think I disliked any character per se, but I think like on the softies department side, I think Kimberly was a character which was
good.
there wasn't a lot happening there except for one, I think, where she came for the whiteboard and you're like, who took my whiteboard?
yeah,
I think a little bit during the sales thing where they were trying to sell the wipes. Besides that, it was just a background character. In terms of who I liked, I think just because of the quirkiness, I mean, he didn't come off like very smart or anything, but I think just his awkwardness and stuff like that, I think Ned's character was quite nice. Um, and I think his ability to kind of be awkward with anyone in the room or even kind of bond over certain things with basically everyone. So I think that was a good character, and I think that's the character which kind of keeps this series in good stead, just because you know that there'll be a lot more of those kind of instances moving forward. So I think that probably is the best character.
uh,
Yeah, same.
now,
So I think Ned was my favorite character, but I think I hold it in like I have three really favorite characters. It's very difficult for me to kind of
of course.
for
I
me
mean, you
like
gave
if,
it a 4, so I'm not surprised.
yeah,
So,
for
yeah,
me if you take the three out, then perhaps the show definitely does not do as well for me as it does here, right? And that's from Ned being one of them, but Esmeralda, man, like for me, she really stands out to say the least, right? Like she
yeah,
has this out character. She's got this very weird comic this thing in the sense that everything she says can be so offensive, but yet you've got this weird, it just makes you want to laugh, like
yeah.
right. And I think like those are two very key things. And Ned along with Mayor, obviously, so I will not mention Mayor separately because I see that as an extension of a similar, I think for them it's like one, like
Okay.
together, right? Like I see them together in this regard. um I think Ken's character was a fun one from a perspective of seeing someone who doesn't necessarily do the work but knows how to kind of do
Yeah,
the right things just enough to make sure he survives, right?
they know how to play office politics well.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right. And
yeah,
also in a way that he kind of knows how to convince people to be on his side when he needs them to be, in the sense that he does convince with Mayor's help Ned to do the sales, which is like a whole opposite to what Ned believes in. He does not believe in that product and stuff like that. But also in the small things where he says, like, Ned asks him to leave, and then he goes out, like, accepting that he's kind of lost that, but immediately has that sudden switch where he realizes, oh wait, the resources this guy's got is actually not necessarily his resources, so let me take away whatever I can from him. And he comes back into that room and he plucks those people away from him. And I just love those moments. One scene that we didn't really discuss about is the Putnam brothers and Marv and his assistant's relationship.
yeah, yeah.
By the way, I don't know what it is. Okay, I really don't know what it is. But Marv and the assistant were giving me Harvey Specter and Donna vibes for some reason. Okay,
Oh, okay.
that was the vibe I was getting for. And to find out she is his brother's wife was like very weird
Yeah,
because clearly there was some.
because she always knew how whatever he wanted and however he felt and knew exactly what he needed at the right time, right? So always was there for him. So I get that why you had that as a comparison.
Yeah, but I loved how Ken was trying to get them to choke so that he could help save their life and save his job in turn. Yeah,
Um,
so
I really love. I think they nailed the casting choice. I mean, Tim Key as Ken.
really,
I really love. I mean, I know Tim Key from British panel shows and a lot of British comedies. So I love the fact that he's getting a lot more of this. I just watched another movie of his, which came out recently. Which, oh my god, I think we should review that if at all you guys, all if it's released there as well. I think it's insanely good. But yeah, I think overall, okay. And the one character, I know you've given it a 4, so something that for one point or 1 star down. Who's the one character?
Actually, I was thinking
Kimberly.
of Kimberly
Yeah,
as,
yeah,
again, like, not someone who was utilized enough in the series to kind of really judge on. I think it's the underutilization that you see of the character that kind of plays against her, because she is mentioned right at the start to being one of the main sales. So I did think that would come to play at a more grander scale at some point, in the sense that they would be pitted up against each other in some way or the other. But you don't see that. I did, in that sales pitch run where she's trying to sell it so hard that at one point she says something that basically makes the product being essentially handed out for free.
Double half discount.
Double half off. Yeah. I was like, wow, desperation on a whole other level.
yeah. I think the other thing that the one thing that I really want from that show is that is the mouse mover that I think Travis creates. That was hilarious because Ken's like, "Oh, look at them! Look at my sheep! They're all like working, and everyone's out." So yeah, okay. So I think overall that's our review for the paper done and dusted. Yes. Yeah, do let us know what your thoughts and your ratings for the show is down in the comments section below. I know I said down and below in the same sentence, but yeah, I'm not the one
Double
writing
off.
any. Yeah, double up. I'm not the one writing any paper here. But yes, do let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit the like button, share, subscribe with friends and family. Follow us on Instagram and on YouTube. It really helps the channel. And at the end of this, well, I guess I'm going to make this usable. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. That's what Oscar does. I've used that now. All right. Bye-bye. We'll see you all next episode.
Type in the comments asshat.